Moonphase 5 asks, do the Old Order Mennonites celebrate Christmas?
This comment came out of a short that I posted on Christmas at the One Room Schoolhouse. Because remember how we used to go watch our neighbors' children perform for our Christmas program, and they would sing Christmas carols in German and Dutch, and then they would do these little skits. So that's where this question came out of. So question for you, Kristen, do the Old Order Amish and Mennonites celebrate Christmas?
Yeah, they absolutely do. I mean, the plain people are Christians, right? This isn't a cult. This isn't some kind of like weird thing. These people would accept the tenets of the Judeo-Christian faith, right? What that means is that Jesus was born on Christmas Day, or so the tradition says. It would be a logical holy day. The way that they celebrate it is different from mainstream Christianity. For example, the giving of gifts, there is not that hype. There might be small token gifts that people will exchange with family, but the hype is not there.
Their gifts, too, are many times homemade.
Yeah, totally. Like homemade gifts, homemade candles, homemade decorations. One of our plain neighbors got something for hunting, like a scope for hunting or something. So it kind of depends. It may be homemade, it may be something practical. But as far as like decorating goes, there's very, very little of that in this culture. When I've been inside of my Old Order Amish and Old Order Mennonite neighbors' homes, simple. There might be like Christmas wreath on the table, or an Advent candle, or some small little tokens that almost could be translated to just winter in general. They do exchange Christmas cards, and I have received small token gifts or Christmas cookies that are homemade by the family around the holidays too. I think that if we stripped away our commercialism Christmas, that's basically what we are looking at here. It's a time for family, it's a time for friends, it's a time to slow down a little bit and kind of take in the year. The way that the hype and the anxiety and the pressure that we have created in our own society is mostly lacking among the plain people.
And they would sing Christmas songs like in the church and in among the families, but certainly only songs that relate to the birth of Christ. Right,
Yes,
it wouldn't be like Jolly Old St. Nicholas or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, not a part of their vocabulary, right?
Yeah. Do you remember that year that we had a couple of our plain people who were working for us at the bed and breakfast, and I did that Christmas Carol game where you have to guess the Christmas Carol? They did dismally because they didn't know the secular ones. They nailed the hymns. They nailed "O Come All Ye Faithful,"
Joy to the
Joy to the
World,
World,
Silent Night.
Yeah, but like anything like Rudolph or anything like that, like they didn't do so great with that because they just don't hear it within their lexicon.
So Christmas, but very much simpler.
Yeah, you got it.
Sophie Morrison asks, are you totally getting out of the hospitality industry? You're both too young for rocking chairs.
Well, honey, what do you think of the rocking chair?
Please do not put that in. Please
Come on.
do not put that.
I'm gonna chase you with my walker. Sorry.
First of all, thank you that you think we're so young. Appreciate that.
That
Good
makes us
job.
feel good?
Yes, thank you. As many of you know, we recently sold our family farm, much to the shock and amazement of pretty much
The
plain,
entire community.
plain people and the mainstream as well. For the last 21 years, we have owned and operated a historic bed and breakfast, a rustic barn wedding venue, and a farm with 20 acres in agriculture. We've been super bored, guys. We've been overly busy, and we want to do other things that would permit us to live a lifestyle where we could explore the world around us and have a little bit more time to enjoy life. We're not getting out of the hospitality business entirely. Things are in the works right now. We're super excited to share that with you in early 2024. Yeah, you'll have to stay tuned for that. But we have bigger plans beyond that. Now's the time for us to be doing things that we're passionate about. And we're in the position where we can do that. Owning a bed and breakfast, we have seen people over the years in these fantastic cars. They're flying in on a Friday, they're zooming out on a Sunday afternoon, and you can just see they're trying to cram all of the relaxation into this tiny period of time. We also see older people in their late 70s, early 80s, hobbling in their older senior years. And we're looking at this and we're going, we don't want to do it that way. That's not our style. We want to do things while we're young enough and nimble enough to explore and to invest in new opportunities. So that's kind of the background to it. That's the crazy to it.
Volleyball, chess, and GeoGuessr, and all the cats in the universe ask, can you talk about the serious sexual abuse problem in the Amish?
In a lot of ways, the Amish and the Mennonites are just human beings with human problems. And it's like, this sort of question reminds me of when all the Catholic abuse allegations were coming out a few years ago, right? And it really shed a poor light in the Catholic Church. But that was really a really small percentage. I'm not trying to minimize or saying that that wasn't important and it shouldn't be dealt with the same way in the Amish and Mennonite Church. This stuff should be dealt with, but it is small. But you had some thoughts on this when we were talking about this earlier, this question.
Yeah, there are a lot more helps, much like in the general mainstream, mental health issues that come up with addiction. As a society, my take is we're becoming more and more open with those types of subjects. I think that we're seeing that within the plain communities as well. For example, close to us, there is a mental health facility called Phil Haven. Phil Haven has a plethora of assistance for addiction and mental health disorders. There's kind of like the mainstream folks have their area, but there's also kind of nestled away an area that's specific to plain people. The way that it's designed, the types of assistance, the Christian perspective. And I think that that's really important. There is conversation happening. There is abuse. In my experience of living in and among these people for over 2 decades, I've heard minimal. I have heard about it, but it's minimal, the amount. And where that is discovered, there does seem to be people more open and receptive to getting help from that Judeo-Christian perspective, which I think is so important.
When there's abuse and stuff that happens, there's legal ramifications for the Amish as well and the Mennonites that are impacting them. So it's not like they're getting out of stuff. There's ramifications, obviously, the emotional ramifications, the psychological they're dealing with within their own community. And there's a lot more openness. You've had some pretty candid conversations with some of the ladies about this in the community.
I think where the challenge lies is when church leaders are not willing to address it.
Yes.
And we have heard, unfortunately, of circumstances where there is a problem with abuse. They go to the church leaders to have it addressed, and the church leaders will not address it. That is a problem at that kind of core level. Those are the situations where people may or may not leave the church and may move on from there kind of as a sense of this is not a place where I want to be.
There are a lot of YouTube channels out there that I'm sure you can find. Just look up. You will find ex-Amish that have been burned by the Amish church. Some of those have been cases where there has been abuse. This does impact the Amish church and people have been rightfully hurt by it. But you'll find that probably in almost any community you're a part of. The Jewish community, the Catholic community, people that have been hurt by these communities that speak out against them. We're just focused because of this channel on the Amish and the Mennonite.